dude is a funny dude. And Evil Dead 2, you started to see some of the comedy, but at the same time, it was still a horror movie. For my money, Evil Dead 2 is the best horror movie of all time. It's just, but it's also, you start to see who Bruce Campbell is in the role of Ash and how that led to Army of Darkness. Anyway, I'm talking too long about how much I love Evil Dead. But the video game comes out May 13th. And I'm just very excited, Trent. I want to tell the whole world. I want to climb to the top of a mountain and scream about how excited I am about the Evil Dead video game.
You just did.
Oh, I did. Thank you. It took a while to climb the top of the mountain, but hey, it's here I am. Yeah. You know what that music means? It means it's time for Super Radio Brothers Sports. What a time in sports it's been, Trent.
You just sounded like a nerd just then.
Why? Wait, how did I sound like a nerd?
Sports.
I'm excited. Give me a break. Super Radio Sports. Get used to it.
I'm used to it, buddy. I'm, hey, hey, there is a lot going on in sports. You hit the nail on the head.
You called me a nerd. I'm so upset. I'm a nerd in everything I love, Trent.
That's fine.
It's true. I just nerded out on Evil Dead, and I'm about to nerd out on some sports.
You do you, pal.
But that's part of what makes this show good.
Oh yeah, because we're all interested in many different things. We all live in our own worlds, and
I'm interested in a few things, not many things, like 3 or 4 things.
Okay, but anyway, I'm interested in the NBA playoffs right now. That's a great segue, by the way.
Let's talk about baseball. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, we will talk about the Yankees are first place in the middle of the.
Is that what I sound like? Is that your best rich? Let me hear your rich impression. Let me hear that.
The New York Yankees are in first place, and we're gonna win the World Series, and okay.
Do I really get that obnoxious? Because I feel like I'm more negative.
Oh, it's bad.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, the NBA playoffs are happening right now. I want to talk about the Boston Celtics right now.
All right.
And the reason I want to talk about them is because they looked absolutely horrific in Game 1. They looked like they shouldn't even be on the same court as the Milwaukee Bucks, okay? 23 turnovers. You had double-digit assists for Milwaukee. You had Giannis, who had a nice game. And then, of course, for Boston, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum didn't show up. I mean, they showed up at the end of the game. They kind of got some garbage time points, and Brown kind of bumped up his numbers a little bit. But, Rich, the Boston Celtics were not in this game at all, basically from start to finish. You looked at Milwaukee, they were like, okay, let's go out and do our game. Whenever you play a team like Milwaukee's a significantly better team than the Brooklyn Nets are, if you want my honest opinion, okay? And, I know the Brooklyn Nets were expected to really do well. They were expected to make it back to the NBA Finals, but they were 4 and out. Is what they call it, and got swept 4-0 by a Boston Celtics team that has been playing well down the stretch. But the coaching staff for the Celtics really got their players together, and I assume, obviously, I wasn't in the locker room. I wish I had a crystal ball where I could kind of peek into the locker room and listen to what the Boston coaches were telling their players. But I'm sure they weren't very happy at all. And they said, this was an embarrassing loss in front of our home fans. So you know what they did on Tuesday night, Rich?
Yeah.
They returned the favor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
they returned the favor.
They had a huge game Tuesday night to even up the series at a game apiece. I think you bring up the Brooklyn Nets, and one thing that first game showed you was kind of where the Brooklyn Nets are at right now. I mean, no semblance of a team there. Just got destroyed by the Boston Celtics, and this is a Brooklyn Nets team last year, if you remember, that took the Milwaukee Bucks to the brink. 7-game series. Durant's toe on the line, 2 instead of 3 is the difference in the series. So the Nets were really close to beating Milwaukee last year. So just that first game, that's one of the things I thought about there as the Bucks were just destroying Boston in Boston in that Game 1. Now, hey, you can look at Game 2 a couple of different ways. If you're the Milwaukee Bucks, you're the NBA champions, and maybe you're thinking you want to get greedy there and you want to win 2 games. But let's not forget, the Celtics are the higher seed here. That's why they got these first 2 games at home. So traditionally, if you're an NBA team on the road for the first 2 games, all you want to do is get that 1 game, and that's what the Bucks did here. Second thing I look at when I look at this series so far, and specifically at Game 2 there, the shots the Celtics were hitting were not easy shots. It's not like I didn't watch that game, and it was a blowout, but I still saw Milwaukee really contesting shots, a lot of effort on defense. I didn't really give up a lot of points in this game by today's NBA standards. 109 points to the Celtics. They only scored 86. That was the problem. But the big number here is the Celtics. They hit 23 pointers in this game, 20 of 43, 46% from downtown. Milwaukee Bucks only hit 3 3-pointers the entire game. So are the Celtics?
And in terms of the 3 shots, you look at Jaylen Brown. That was like 6 3-point shots. That was a playoff career high for him alone.
After he was awful in the first game, so that was a good bounce back from him. But will the Celtics be able to shoot like that in Milwaukee? Will they be able to hit from 3 at close to a 50% clip while also hoisting close to 50 shots from downtown? I don't think so. So I still think this is a series that the Bucks will win. I'll give the Celtics 2 games in this series, but I think the Celtics win in 6.
You said the Bucks.
The Bucks. I think Milwaukee will win in 6 games. I just think they're too good for the Celtics, even without Middleton. I think Giannis is a force. He still had 28 points in that, almost a triple-double. He's going to come back at home, and you're going to get those role players playing a little bit better. You're going to get more than 2 points from Brook Lopez in Milwaukee. We saw how big he played in that first game. I think Drew Holiday, even though he had a decent game in the second game, I think he's going to put up bigger numbers. I don't. It's hard for me to look at this because I saw a lot of people saying, actually picking the Celtics now, thinking that they're going to win this series off that performance. But I can't go that far. I think it's great that they won Game 2, and it gives us something to watch because there are a couple of series right now that unfortunately have taken a rough turn that aren't very interesting. And one of those series, definitely the 76ers and the Heat, because of the injury to Embiid. And
yes,
that is just went from an intriguing series to just so uninteresting. I just don't. There's no way the Sixers are going to compete in this series. It's just not happening. The Heat are a darn good team. They were the number 1 seed, and with no Embiid, they're going to, and especially with Harden, a shell of his former self. I mean, you're talking about a guy that used to average over 30 points a game in the playoffs, just put up huge numbers. I mean, if you saw Harden in a playoff game drop 40 points, you wouldn't blink an eye. Right now, you will. He had 20 points in Game 2 there. I think it was 16 in the first game. Just really not giving you anything near the MVP level Houston Rocket James Harden that if you're the 76ers, you need right now without Embiid playing. So that's a series I look at that's become uninteresting. And yeah, I was pretty wrong about the Suns Mavericks. I thought the Mavericks were going to give Phoenix a hard time. And that first game was a pretty good game. Mavericks only lose by 7 points in Phoenix. And let's not forget, Phoenix Suns number 1 seed in all of basketball, 8 games better than the next closest team. Phoenix was a great team this past year, and they're proving it right now because Mavericks are no slouches. They do lack another superstar to supplement the greatness of Luka Doncic, and him scoring 30 points a game without any help just isn't going to do it against a team like Phoenix. And the way Chris Paul just dominated the fourth quarter of that game against the Mavericks, and also what Devin Booker did in that game, for that matter. Just putting the whole league on notice and reminding guys. And again, this is a game. They outscored Phoenix outscored Dallas 40-26 in that fourth quarter, and it felt like it wasn't even that close. I mean, and it was really impressive to watch Phoenix do what they do, to get a sense of why they were so good this year. Because I don't watch a ton of Phoenix Suns games, but the way you had Devin Booker, and this was a game at halftime, but the way Devin Booker came out in the third quarter and dominated, and then you saw Chris Paul come out in the fourth quarter and do the same. It was impressive to see those two guys do what they did. Chris Paul with 28, 8, and 6, and Devin Booker dropping 30. But this was Chris Paul's game. He dominated that fourth quarter, and he just reminded everybody why everybody's calling him right now the point god, right? He looked amazing in that game. And the problem with the Mavericks right now is you're getting nothing from the guys who really did a great job in that first series. I mean, Jalen Brunson was averaging 30 points a game in that first series against the Utah Jazz. He scored 9 points in game 2. That's just not going to get it done. Spencer Dinwiddie was huge in that first series. He scored 11 points in game 2. Luka scored 35, but if those guys are giving you that, if the second guy closest to Luka has 16 points, and that's Reggie Bullock, that's just not going to get the job done against a team that won 64 games in the regular season. So I'm disappointed in that series. I think Dallas will play better in Dallas. That's just the way the NBA works. Role players play much better at home, especially in the playoffs. And as Pat Riley famously said, playoff series doesn't really begin until a home team has lost a game. So I think you'll get a better effort from the Dallas Mavericks in game 3. But I do have to be honest here. Phoenix just looks like far and away the better team right now. And if you're Dallas, you got to really start thinking about how you can get another all-star level player on that team to hook up with Luka, to at least give him a shot, because let's face it, I mean, the West is loaded. Look what's going on out there, and Luka's part of that. The Mavericks had the 4th seed this year, but you got Ja Morant with the Grizzlies. You got the Warriors. They still got a couple more years left. You got MVP and Jokic with Denver. You've got Karl Anthony Towns and the Minnesota Timberwolves seemingly getting better every single year. You got CJ McCollum and Zion Williamson probably coming back for the so the West is just the West is loaded. And if you're the Mavericks and you got a player like Luka, you got a shot. You got to really start thinking about figuring out a way where you can get another all-star level player on that team to give them a shot against what is a very talented Western Conference. And that's how good the league is right now, because you look at the East is pretty darn talented as well.
Oh yeah, the East is so many great things happening in the NBA playoffs, and I think the Phoenix Suns, there is something special with that team, and you've seen it both on and off the court. So congratulations to them. Of course, the Celtics still got some work to do. I agree with you. And, of course, the Miami Heat are looking good in their series. Like you said, the injury to Joel Embiid is significant for the Philadelphia 76ers, I truly believe. And Philadelphia's got some big shoes to fill if they want to win this series and even have a shot, in my opinion. But Miami did what a home team's supposed to do. Take both games in the series. They didn't allow a split. So, anyway, lots of great NBA happening. Let's move forward to baseball, and might as well go ahead and get it over with. Let's let Rich kind of gloat about his New York Yankees for a second. He just gloated about the NBA playoffs, but let's hear him gloat about the New York Yankees, who still got a very, 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 very long way to go. But they're in first place right now in the American League East. So what's going on with your Yankees?
Oh yeah, it's I think the number was one number was the Yankees haven't been in first place at this point in the season in sole possession, which you think about it, even this kind of shock, since 2019. So it just kind of shows. There have been issues with this team over the years, and they get hot during the season, and it's not like we've never seen a winning streak before. And I'll start there. The winning streak was ended this past week at 11 games in Toronto. But I did say, and there's a video out there, Super Radio Brother highlights, do the Yankees have something special brewing in the Bronx? And That was going into the Blue Jays series. The Yankees had won 9 in a row, and what I had said at that point was, well, you beat some teams here that you're expected to beat, which is good. You're never going to that's how you win divisions. That's how you get to the playoffs. You beat the teams you're supposed to beat. But here you go. You won 9 straight games against teams that you're expected to defeat. Not necessarily sweep every series. That's what they did there, 3 straight sweeps. That impresses me because they didn't sweep anybody last year. But going into the Toronto series, I said, look, not only are you facing a better team here, a team that's a lot of people picking to win the division, but you're also facing them with the bottom of the rotation here. You're not going to get any Cole. You're not going to get Severino. So let's see the Yankees go out there, with Jameson Taillon and some of these other pitchers, and let's see them get out there with the bottom of the rotation. And actually, Nestor Cortez did start the 3rd game, which was a surprise. I didn't think they were going to start him in that game, but they did, and that just happens to be the game that they lost. But let's see them go out there and sweep the Blue Jays, or take 2 out of 3 from the Blue Jays in Toronto, and then you start to feel good about yourself. And that's what the Yankees did. They went out there, took on a darn good team, took the first 2 games of the series. Couldn't win the 3rd game, but look, you can't complain about that. This is baseball. You took 2 out of 3. You won the series. You move on. You're still in first place, 2.5 games ahead of the Blue Jays. I think it's 3 over the Tampa Bay Rays right now, and the best record in baseball. But this is a very interesting point in the season right now. If you're the Yankees, you're 18-7. Just had your 11-game winning streak ended. I think we're going to learn a lot about this team right now because if you remember, late July, I think it was last year, Yankees ripped off 12 games in a row. It went on that streak, got us all excited. Maybe they're making a move here. Maybe they're actually going to challenge Tampa for the division here. They went on that run. I think they got to within 6 or 5 games of the Rays when they went on that 12-game winning streak. And if you remember, it was like the Rays were winning every game as well. But the Yankees win 12 games in a row late July last year. What did they do after that 12-game winning streak? They lost 11 of 13. And then you're right back where you started, and you barely make that wild card game. So this is key for the Yankees. First of all, don't go and lose 11 of 13 now. Don't do that, right? And the other interesting thing here is the first game against the Texas Rangers, Friday night. We're doing the show on Cinco de Mayo, by the way. Happy Cinco de Mayo. But Friday night.
It took you this long to mention it.
Yeah, that's true. I should have. I forgot, Trent. I forgot. How
can you forget?
That's true. Especially when I'm enjoying a cerveza right at this very moment in celebration of Cinco de Mayo and the 300th episode of the Super Radio Brothers. But the other interesting thing is Friday night, Yankees play the Rangers. First game after their streak is snapped. Who's on the mound? Garrett Cole. Guess what? Go out there, be the $300 million pitcher you are, and shut the Rangers down and start a new winning streak. That's what you're here for. Don't let a losing streak start now, even if it's just 2 games. Garrett Cole is on the mound. That means the Yankees are supposed to win, especially after their 11-game winning streak was just snapped, especially when you're playing a shitty team like the Texas Rangers. You're Garrett Cole. Go out there Friday night, get it done, get a new winning streak started, keep the Yankees in first place. But, hey, if you're a Yankee fan right now, best record in baseball in a tough division, you got to be pretty happy about what you're seeing. You got to love what you're seeing out of an Aaron Judge who's just been knocking the cover off of the baseball. Going into the final game against Toronto, he had 5 home runs in his last 5 games, 7 in his last 8. He's right up there with Rizzo for the most home runs in baseball. Oh, and he's also hitting close to 300 and not playing a stellar right field, playing a stellar center field at times. I mean, Judge is just, what an incredible ball player he is. And you think he made a mistake not signing a contract before the season started? Give me a break. This guy's getting paid. It may not be the Yankees that are going to pay him, but the dude's going to get his money, what he wants when the season's over.
PAID, paid.
So, but he's playing MVP level baseball right now, and we'll see if he can keep that up, stay healthy. Of course, that all factors in, but man, the offense is clicking, and 1 through 14, the entire pitching staff, you can't argue it. Yankees have the best pitching in baseball right now, especially when you're talking about the bullpen.
Down a little bit before they play Tampa.
Well, Tampa's in third place. I'm not thinking about them much right now, Trent.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Hey, but speaking of Tampa, I gotta talk about my Rays here real quick.
Yes.
Tampa Bay did sweep the Oakland Athletics, who they struggled mightily with last year. I cannot remember the last time they won a series at the Oakland Coliseum. Nevertheless, sweep a series, but they brought out the brooms. They got lucky on Tuesday night, I will say. They had a lead, and then of course the Oakland ended up tying it. Or I'm sorry, they were down some runs, and Tampa ended up tying it, and then they went into extra innings and scored 3 in the 10th, or 5 in the 10th, rather, to make it 10-5. And then Oakland came in the bottom of the 10th to make it a 10-7 ball game, but they couldn't really do anything there. And of course, Corey Kluber was terrific on Wednesday night. He had another good start. He's had back-to-back solid starts now. More than quality starts. Of course, he did well against the Minnesota Twins in the first game of that series, which, by the way, that was the only game they won of that particular series because of some injuries and because of some other stuff, offense not being able to hit. Seems like toward the end of homestands at Tropicana Field, they kind of forget that they're supposed to hit the ball in order to win. They didn't do that, but Tampa's okay right now. I mean, they're 15-10 as we are recording this on Thursday night. They're currently playing Seattle, and at last check, it was 0-0 going into the bottom of the third. Our ace, our opening day starter, Shane McClanahan, is on the mound for the Rays as we speak. So if the Rays just keep winning series, I preach this every week, but it's so true. If you keep winning series, you got to look at it from a macro perspective. If you win 2 out of 3 games, you're going to win 90 games or more, and you're going to make the postseason. Or 3 out of 4 games if you take it. Of course, it leaves you some room for some splits. And, yeah, you're going to lose series sometimes in Major League Baseball. Just ask the New York Yankees. They could not beat Baltimore. They lost several series to Baltimore last year. Yeah, so but the ultimate goal is, from a micro perspective, 3, 4, 5 game losing streaks are difficult, but you have to look at it from a big picture if you're a baseball fan, because it is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. So overall, otherwise, dealing with some other injury stuff, the Rays are doing okay, and they're in good shape. Yeah.
Hey, like you said, it's early. You're Rays 3 games out of first place. You just want to, like you said, win series right now. And then when you play the teams that you're competing with, win those games, right? That's the name of the game. That's how you win a division. That's how you give yourself a chance when the real show begins in October, right? You know about that. Rays have played some October baseball recent years.
Yeah, they sure have, but they looked pitiful in their October baseball last year.
Well, that was a rough series.
It was a rough series against the dreaded Red Sox.
You don't want to lose those, but it's baseball. So, but that's the biggest thing. That's what hurts, is that you just never know when you're going to get back there. So if you're a team. And look, I've seen the Yankees get knocked out early in the playoffs, winning 103 games, whatever it is. Rays won 100 games last year. Did they get swept in that series against the Red Sox?
No, I think they won 1 game.
So it's just rough to lose that early when you had a great season. But you also, if you were watching it last year, you had 4 teams in the division that were so evenly matched, and you had the Rays that just dominated the Baltimore Orioles. They won 18 of 19 games, so they won the division. They put themselves in a great position. They just, the Red Sox were hotter than them. They were coming off the high, beating the Yankees in the wild card game, and they had momentum. They had 2 evenly matched teams there, but Red Sox had momentum, and luckily we had Houston standing in the way there. So I'm just happy. Hey, it was the best of both worlds for me. I got to see the Rays get knocked out and then the Red Sox get knocked out. So after everybody saw the Yankees get knocked out, but hey, we all got what we wanted.
Yeah,
Maybe
down
not.
goes the entire American League.
Yeah,
East, right?
everybody got knocked out. So.
That's awesome. Well, in terms of the sports, that's pretty much it. Oh, I do have to mention one more thing. The Tampa Bay Lightning are in a deadlock series right now with the Toronto Maple Leafs out of all teams, and a team that both teams have had their feuds this season. Tampa Bay beat them on the late April by a score of 8-1. That was a dying. If you beat somebody 8-1 in hockey, your goalie must be really, really bad. The team that gave up 8 goals. Yeah. And Toronto's goalie had a tough night that night. And of course, Tampa lost to Toronto 6-2 the first meeting they played. But they ended up losing 5-0 in Game 1, and everybody was going, "Oh my God, the sky is falling. What's going on with the Tampa Bay Lightning? You have to be kidding me. What is this team? Why is this team even made the playoff?" So many overreactions. You're going to lose a playoff game from time to time, okay? Fans, get a grip. That's why you're there and the Tampa Bay Lightning are over there, okay? That's exactly why. So you need to get a grip. These fans who are talking, "Oh, this guy's falling," and it sounds just like that too, by the way.
Oh, is that me? Am I complaining about the It sounded like you were doing me.
No, I wasn't talking about you for once.
Oh, I thought it was me complaining about the Lightning. It was pretty good.
I know. Thanks. So and then on Wednesday, the Lightning ended up coming back to win. They beat them. They won. I think it was 5-3. That third period got interesting because Toronto cut it within 2, but thanks to some penalties, and Tampa Bay's power play was really good back on Wednesday night. So you just have to give the Lightning are going to be okay, and there's a reason that they've won back-to-back Stanley Cup championships, and if they can continue to win, if they get past the Toronto, I think Tampa Bay could ultimately win this series. I think the trajectory of the series is going to change when, of course, we're recording this show like what we talked about on Cinco de Mayo. We're going to play tomorrow night at Amalie Arena, 7:30. A little Friday night hockey doesn't sound bad to me. And then, of course, Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening at 7 for games 3 and 4 in Tampa. So if you can win, I would love for them to win them both, to go up 3-1. But even if you're 2-2 going into back to Toronto, I think you're okay, because I think the Lightning can win this series in 5. It wouldn't be 5 games because you got to win 4. I think they can win it at 6 at the most.
All right. Well, they're champions. They got a shot. I can't watch regular season hockey, but I do get somewhat into it in the postseason, especially if the Rangers are involved. So I have seen the first 2 Ranger games this postseason against the Penguins, and that was an incredible first game, triple overtime. Ranger goalie had close to 80 saves, which was ridiculous. I mean, can anybody play defense out on the ice? But it was pretty exciting, triple overtime, and you lose. And Rangers did come back tonight and win the second game. So like all NHL series, it'll probably go 7 games. I wouldn't be shocked. It seems like every single NHL playoff series goes 7 games, or at least the majority of them. So that's what I expect. But apparently the Rangers had a good regular season this year, so maybe there's hope. I know nothing about it, but I will. I'm
glad you admit it.
Oh yeah, I mean, but I'm not the only one. Nobody cares about hockey, Trent. But